It was supposed to be the happiest time of the year. That's what everyone says about Christmas. Warm lights, family dinners, familiar songs playing softly in the background. But every year, without fail, there are people who experience something very different. Something they still struggle to talk about. What you're about to hear isn't a campfire story or an urban legend passed around for fun. This is based on a real incident that happened during Christmas week, and even now, years later, the people involved say the same thing: Christmas never felt safe again after that night. I want you to imagine a small town, the kind where everyone knows everyone. One main street, a few shops, a church, and rows of quiet houses covered in snow. Christmas Eve had just arrived. Snow was falling gently, the kind that makes everything look peaceful, almost unreal. Families were inside, laughing, opening early gifts, drinking hot chocolate. Outside, the town felt empty. Too quiet. That night, a man named Daniel was driving home from a late shift. He worked security at a warehouse just outside town. Christmas shifts were always lonely, but he needed the money. Daniel was in his early 30s, recently divorced, no kids. Christmas didn't mean much to him anymore. Still, he was looking forward to getting home, heating up leftover food, and sleeping for 12 straight hours. The road he drove on every night cut through a stretch of forest. Normally, it took him about 20 minutes. He knew every curve, every sign. But that night felt different. From the moment he entered the forest road, his radio started acting strange. The Christmas music slowed down, then turned into static, then suddenly came back louder than before. Daniel tapped the dashboard and laughed it off. Old car, he thought. About 10 minutes in, he noticed something on the side of the road. At first, he thought it was a decoration. A large Santa figure, standing near a broken wooden sign. But as he got closer, he realized it was a person. A man dressed as Santa, standing completely still in the snow, facing the road. Daniel slowed down. Who would be standing out here on Christmas Eve, dressed like that, in the middle of nowhere? The Santa figure slowly raised one hand and waved. Daniel felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. He told himself it was probably a drunk guy from town, or some weird Christmas prank. He considered stopping, but something about the way the man stood, too straight, too still, made him uncomfortable. So he drove past. As his car passed the Santa, Daniel glanced in his side mirror. The man wasn't waving anymore. He was running. Daniel's heart jumped. He pressed the accelerator. The forest swallowed the road ahead, trees closing in on both sides. He looked back again. The Santa was gone. Daniel laughed nervously, trying to calm himself. Get a grip, he muttered. It's Christmas. People do dumb stuff. A few minutes later, his headlights caught something else. This time, it was a car. It was parked sideways across part of the road, hazard lights blinking. Daniel slowed down again, annoyed now. As he approached, he saw the driver's door was open. No one inside. Snow had started to collect on the seat. Great, Daniel said under his breath. No signal out here. He stepped out of his car, the cold biting instantly. The forest was silent. No wind, no animals, just the soft ticking of his engine cooling down. Hello, he called out. No answer. He walked closer to the abandoned car. It was an old sedan, engine off, keys still in the ignition. On the dashboard was a small Christmas ornament, a tiny snowman hanging from a string. It gently swayed, even though there was no breeze. That's when Daniel heard footsteps behind him. Crunch, crunch, slow, heavy. He turned around quickly. Nothing. The road behind him was empty. Hello, he called again, louder this time. Crunch, crunch. The sound came from the trees now. To his left, Daniel's chest tightened. He felt like he was being watched. He took a step back toward his car. Then someone spoke. Merry Christmas. The voice was deep, calm, almost cheerful. Daniel spun around. Standing just a few feet away was Santa. The same one from earlier. Up close, the costume looked old and dirty. The white fur was yellowed. The red fabric was torn in places. The beard was tangled, matted with something dark. Daniel tried not to think about what it might be. Hey, Daniel said, forcing his voice to stay steady. You all right, man? Your car broken down. Santa tilted his head slightly. The smile on the mask didn't change. It was frozen in a permanent grin, eyes wide and empty. I've been waiting, Santa said. Daniel took another step back. Waiting for who? For you. Before Daniel could react, Santa lunged forward. Daniel ran. He sprinted toward his car, heart pounding, boots slipping on the icy road. He could hear Santa behind him now, breathing hard, boots hitting the snow fast. Daniel reached his car, fumbled with the door, jumped inside, and slammed it shut. He locked the doors just as Santa reached the window. Santa pressed his face against the glass. Up close, Daniel could see the mask wasn't a mask at all. It was skin. The eyes blinked. Santa's mouth moved slowly, stretching unnaturally wide. "Open the door," he whispered. "It's Christmas." Daniel screamed and started the engine. He floored it, tires spinning before catching grip. As the car shot forward, Santa stumbled back, falling into the snow. Daniel didn't stop. He didn't look back. When he finally burst out of the forest and into town, he drove straight to the police station. He was shaking so badly he could barely speak. Officers went back with him, searched the road. They found the abandoned car. They found footprints, but they never found Santa. The official report said it was likely a disturbed individual playing a prank. No evidence of a crime. No further action. But here's the part that still haunts Daniel. 2 days later, on Christmas morning, he received a small package at his front door. No return address. Inside was a Christmas ornament. A tiny snowman, and written on the bottom, in shaky handwriting, were 3 words. "See you next year." So ask yourself this: if Santa was real that night, if he knew Daniel's name, his route, his car, how many other people did he meet that Christmas? And more importantly, how many didn't make it home at all? After what happened to Daniel, Christmas stories like that rarely make the news. They get buried under headlines about holidays, sales, and celebrations. But the truth is, Christmas has a strange way of lowering people's guard. And sometimes, that's exactly what something evil is waiting for. This next story happened in a completely different place, but the timing was the same. Christmas week. And just like before, it started with something that felt harmless. Emily loved Christmas more than anything. She was 26, worked as a nurse, and lived alone in a small apartment building on the edge of the city. Her family lived a few hours away, and because of her job, she couldn't visit them every year. That Christmas, she was scheduled for night shifts at the hospital. So she decided to stay home, decorate her apartment, and make the best of it. On Christmas Eve, Emily finished her shift around 11:30 p.m. The hospital was unusually quiet. Most patients were asleep, and the halls were dim. As she walked out into the cold night, she noticed snow starting to fall. Not heavy, just enough to make the streetlights glow softly. Her apartment building was only a 10-minute drive away. When she parked and stepped inside the building, she immediately noticed something odd. The lobby lights were off. That was strange, because the building manager always kept them on during holidays. Emily shrugged it off and used her phone's flashlight as she walked toward the elevator. That's when she saw it. A large Christmas wreath hanging on the elevator doors. It hadn't been there that morning. It was beautiful. Thick green branches, red ribbons, silver bells. In the center, a small card was attached. For Emily. Merry Christmas. Her stomach tightened. She lived alone. Very few people knew where she lived. She told herself maybe the building manager had left it, or one of her coworkers was trying to surprise her. Still, something about seeing her name written so clearly made her uneasy. She took the stairs instead. As she climbed to the 3rd floor, the building felt wrong. No sounds, no TVs, no footsteps, just her breathing and the soft echo of her shoes. When she reached her floor, she noticed another wreath. This one was hanging on the wall directly across from her apartment door. And again, a card. "You made it home safe." Emily froze. Her heart started racing. She slowly unlocked her door and stepped inside, locking it behind her immediately. Her apartment was just as she left it. Christmas tree lights glowing softly. A small table set with a microwave dinner she planned to eat before bed. She leaned against the door, trying to calm herself. "Someone's messing with you," she whispered. She checked her phone. No missed calls. No messages. Then she heard it. A knock. 3 slow taps. Knock, knock, knock. Emily's breath caught in her throat. She stood perfectly still, staring at the door. Another knock. "Merry Christmas, Emily," a man's voice said from the other side. Her blood ran cold. She didn't recognize the voice. "Who is it?" she asked, hating how small her voice sounded. "Someone who brought you a gift." "No," she said quickly. "You've got the wrong apartment." Silence. Then, soft laughter. "You always say that when you're scared." Emily's hands started shaking. "I'm calling the police," she said. I wouldn't do that, the voice replied calmly. You don't want to wake the neighbors. It's Christmas. Emily backed away from the door and grabbed her phone. Just as she unlocked it, the lights in her apartment went out. Complete darkness. Her phone screen was the only light. She heard the lock on her door slowly turning. Click, click. Emily screamed and ran toward the kitchen, grabbing the first thing she could find, a knife. She backed into the corner, heart pounding so loudly she thought it would give her away. The door creaked open. Footsteps entered her apartment. Slow, confident. I told you, the man said softly. You always hide here. Emily covered her mouth, trying not to make a sound. Her phone buzzed in her hand. A message. Unknown number. Turn around. She didn't want to. Every part of her body screamed not to. But she did. Standing just a few feet away was a man dressed in a long red coat, trimmed with white fur. Not exactly Santa, but close enough to make her skin crawl. His face was pale, eyes sunken, smiling like he was enjoying every second. How do you know me? Emily cried. He tilted his head. I've been watching you for 3 years. Every Christmas. You always come home late. You always lock the door twice. You always heat your dinner and never finish it. Emily felt sick. You're lying, she said. He stepped closer. Am I? Suddenly, a loud banging echoed from the hallway. Police. Open the door. The man's smile faded. Emily screamed. For help. In seconds, the apartment was filled with flashing lights and shouting. The man ran, but didn't make it far. Police tackled him in the hallway. Emily sat on the floor, shaking, wrapped in a blanket as officers asked questions. They told her the man had been living in the building's maintenance room for months. Watching residents, learning routines, waiting for Christmas, when people were distracted, forgiving, relaxed. They arrested him, but that wasn't the end. A week later, Emily returned to her apartment for the first time since the attack. Police had searched the entire building. Everything was safe. She tried to believe it. As she unpacked her things, she noticed something under her Christmas tree. A small wrapped box. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was her nurse ID badge, the one she lost 3 years ago. And taped to the back was a note. You're not my only gift. Emily moved out 2 days later. So here's what you should ask yourself now. If that man had been watching for years, carefully choosing Christmas for his moment, how many other doors did he knock on that night? And how many people never got a knock at all?